Hello and welcome to NONI, Yanga's flagship talk show where we discuss the topics that you, our viewers at home, are talking about just a little bit louder. I'm Adesope Olajide, aka Shopsy Olajide, and today I'll be asking my guests, when it comes to choosing a partner, is race and religion important? So who are today's guests? Well, joining me are artist and actor Moizi, author and counselor Amakachika Mbonu, and analyst Dr. Kelechi Anyukode. Welcome, everyone. Now, religion isn't just about church on Sunday or mosque on Friday. It's also about raising kids and how we spend our time and money. It can dictate friendships, our professional networks, and even influence where we decide to live. If you're not on the same page spiritually, it can quickly lead to disagreements and resentment. And if you throw race into the mix, you can have a pretty volatile combination of social constructs that can chip away at even the most solid of relationships. Or am I being a merchant of doom and gloom? Is it precisely because a mixed race and or religious relationship brings different things to the table that we become more empathetic? We're also more tolerant because we can take the best from both worlds and be better informed, ultimately creating an unbreakable bond. Now, panel, I'll throw this discussion over to you. Let's start there. Race and religion. Is that a massive criteria when picking relationships? Who would like to go first? Mo?
I think it's a big discussion to have once you have your spouse or your partner or your relationship. So it's definitely a discussion that you definitely need to have because it is important.
How can that affect a relationship when you're choosing a partner? How can that affect choosing a partner?
If not spoken about, different races come with different respects, different principles, which you need to understand. And, as simple as it may be, if you cross the line, it could, trigger what's not needed.
An example would be, really, in terms of religion or races, what examples can you give?
In terms of, race-wise, culture, religion. Yeah. So if we're talking about culture, like I'm Nigerian.
Yeah.
If you're gonna come home to see, say, my mom or something like that, there's a certain way you would greet her. You can't go to her and say, "Hello, ma. Oh, how are you?" You understand? Like she'll say it as, "This one is rude," and you might take it as, "What she mean?" We're in a modern world, and really that has to do with race and that has to do with culture. So that's understanding that. Amaka.
That's a very important part, particularly if you're talking about African parents. When a man from an African parent, a man who's African dates or gets involved with a woman that's perhaps European, culture differences, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. As a marriage counselor, you see it all the time where the differences in marriages in race and religion play a significant part. Of course, anything can be surmounted, or most things can be surmounted if they're confronted. So like you said, yes, say an African parent and say a European, someone from European lineage, there are going to be those differences in culture, and it's going to be a problem. I have an aunt who was very upset because her son married a European and they had a baby, and they called her, said the baby had come, and she said, "Oh, she's on her way," and the lady said to her, "No, you can't come, we want time to be with the baby," and she was really pained. So these are things that can be challenges if not discussed.
Speaking about faith and religion and race, now let's throw religion in the mix. A Christian and a Muslim. Does that have to necessarily be a huge point of contention when love is involved?
No, love surmounts all religions. I believe that if you love the person, you can respect each other's choices. I think I've heard people say that, for instance, in Islam, that if you marry a Christian, you have to take your wife actually to church. So they have to respect each other's religion. Now, when the kids come in, then I have to decide where the kids will worship, what they will be brought up as. But I saw, when you were doing the intro to the program, you said that kind of child will have the best of both worlds and will be able to decide. And trust me, in that kind of house, there won't be discrimination, and that helps the world.
But in terms of, there's been studies shown that has proven that in mixed relationships, when it's maybe a Christian and a Muslim getting together, that the kids usually take up the faith of the mother. So that might be another issue as well, because if the father doesn't really want his kids to be raised in the different faith.
Yeah, but I'm sure they'll discuss that before giving birth.
Absolutely. These things need to be pre-discussed, because it shouldn't really be a situation where you're married and then you're waiting till you have children, and then the children decide where to go. And really, the children, when they're young, are probably going to go where they started going to a large extent.
Exactly.
So it has to be pre-discussed.
Exactly, because the mom will have to breastfeed the baby, take the baby to church. From there, the baby's already getting involved. And then maybe when the baby grows up to make decisions by herself or himself, then he can choose wherever he wants to.
That's fantastic as a doctor speaking theoretically. Now let's speak practically. Mo, have you ever had to consider cultural differences, race or religion in choosing your spouse?
Not really. I mean, for me, I got to a point in my life where I just really had to sit down and do my soul searching on what I want to know. I have gone through the bout of studying about Christianity.
I thought you were going to say I've gone through a couple relationships.
No. I've studied Christianity. I've studied Islam. You know, just to gain knowledge about what I want to do and in what line I want to go in. You know, so as young adults, you do come to that point. You know, regardless if your mom has taken you to church from jump. You know, you come to a point where the mom's not there, the dad's not there, the friends are not there. Now your society will determine for you as well. You know?
So what you're saying is you would marry anybody as long as you're in love with them? As
long as, if I'm in love with them, but we'll have that conversation. You know, it's all about understanding. If I have the conversation with you,
I'm not getting you clear enough. If you're in love with a woman, regardless of her race or religion, you're definitely committed to that relationship.
Of course, yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Now, Amaka, I'll go to you. You're a mother and a wife. What are your thoughts when it comes to different races coming together and perhaps different faiths coming together? How would you handle that if, let's say, for instance, your son decided to marry out of faith?
You see, the truth of the matter is that all things, as I said before, most things are not insurmountable if they can be discussed. I believe it can be a problem. It would have to be navigated through. For instance, if you were a Christian, okay, let me put it this way. One's core faith and belief forms a very strong bonding and gluing together factor for a husband and wife and the family unit as a whole. There are things that can bind a family together. And if on a Sunday or a Friday, one person is going off this way and one person is going off the other way.
So are you trying to say you're talking about a core faith, binding them together makes the relationship stronger. So what you're trying to say, in essence, is if they're of different faiths, then it's almost impossible to have that bond.
I'm not going to use the word almost impossible, but I will say it's something that would have to be navigated. It will be an elephant in the room that has to be discussed, and the discussion has to be as to how it can be navigated.
Would you discourage or encourage your son from getting into that?
Well, again, as I always say when I'm on NONI, I'm a person of faith. And so I would...
And you would do
I
what?
would not discourage... no, I wouldn't discourage, but I would like to discuss with him and with the both of them, actually, exactly what this might entail and encourage them to discuss what could come up. And I want to put a pointer. You talked about, so if you were in love with somebody, the word love, everybody must examine it deeply and fully.
Different definitions? Is that what you're saying?
A number of definitions put together, because what love means to one person is not what it means to another person, and when you see somebody and you say you love them, you must examine what love means, because love is the physical attraction, but it's also a composite of all that the person is.
But it goes but that means if you're talking about love that's physical and probably all the other things that come into it, are you saying that faith coming into that now would change the definition of love? Can that shift it a little bit?
No, I mean, I'm loving the person. I'm loving the person's soul. Her behavior, her makeup, I'm in love with different things.
Which includes her beliefs.
Beliefs, I mean, there are also liberal Christians, liberal Muslims, conservative Christians, conservative Muslims.
Speaking about Muslims, under Islamic law, regardless of the school of thought, the Muslim women may not marry a non-Muslim man.
Yes.
So that is
on the flip side, a Muslim man can marry a non. I mean, these are discussions that we need to have, but I mean, I understand it, and they have to go by the doctrine. I understand that, but for me, love and the person first of all a human being before he's a Christian or a Muslim. So I'm in love with the person. Then we'll not have that discussion. The person might decide to convert. You cannot force the person to convert. The person might decide to convert eventually. Just like the whole culture thing we were talking about. it's about learning. She learns my culture, I learn hers as well, because it goes two ways. Yeah. So whether she's missing my Nigerian parents, I'm meeting her Oyibo father as well, and have to learn her culture. It's all about respect. You can even learn each other's faith. I've worshipped in a mosque before out of respect for my friends. I could have been born a Muslim and I'll still be a Muslim today. So you understand? So for me, yeah, religion and race, they're quite lower than the whole love thing, to be honest.
I know Amaka speaks, very proudly about the fact that she's a woman of faith and a Christian faith as well. It's interesting, one of the statistics here says that although many faiths can't agree on anything, which is the usual story, they all surprisingly agree that the idea of an interfaith marriage is a bad idea. Your thoughts?
I don't want to use the word bad. I'm going to say it's challenging. For instance, I actually like the whole the scarf that some of the Muslim women wear where they throw it around. I find the hijab. That's right. Yes. I actually love it. But I kind of like it. Even as fashion statement. But let's say, for instance, the man doesn't mind my not covering. Yes. But the family does. Now, this is an issue, but it can be discussed. So is he going to stand up and say, and I don't want to wear it, for instance? Is he going to stand up and tell his parents, no, I don't want her to wear it? Or is he going to say, just wear it because my parents like it? You see, you find other things entering the dynamic. These are not insurmountable things, but there are things nonetheless that have to be navigated.
Okay, we need to have a break right now, I'm afraid. But when we come back, I want to ask our panel if they agree with the controversial singer Morrissey when he recently said, and I quote, "Everyone ultimately prefers their own race," end quote. See you after the break. Welcome back to NONI with me, Adesope Olajide, and my guests, Mo Easy, Amaka Chikan-Bonu, and Dr. Kelechi Anyikode. So the question we're discussing before the break was, is race and religion important when it comes to choosing a partner? Now, the once revered singer Morrissey has fallen from grace because of controversial statements he has made about race. But is he right when he says, and I quote, "Everyone ultimately prefers their own race"? Mo, let me go to you for this one. Everyone ultimately prefers their own race. Is it ludicrous or?
I don't believe that. I don't like that statement. And but the reason why you could probably say that is, gatherings of Nigerians, for instance, you would only see a lot of Nigerians there. So you fall comfortable with your surrounding, and that's probably who you're around. So you might fall for that same race that you are in, but it does not really mean that's what. You know what I mean? That's what that statement is.
Is that statement a racist comment? Because he has been heavily criticized and probably ostracized from the community, from the society.
I mean, I personally don't think it's a racist comment. I think that's just his opinion. It feels like everybody just likes their own race.
Amaka?
Okay, the statement, honestly,
let's look at the statement first, and then
honestly, I don't particularly see the statement as racist. It's just whether it should really have been something that is vocalized. And the reason why I say this is really a lot of things people say, a lot of us think it, but you might not actually say it. If I were to modify that statement, I don't know exactly where it was said. Funnily enough, I'm a bit ignorant as to when it was said, or where. But the truth is, you do feel more comfortable with what you know generally. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't like anything else or you're not open to anything else.
Imagine someone having that type of thought, being a judge, a member of the jury, of someone interviewing somebody else for a job.
But when you're saying, if you read the statement again, everyone
ultimately prefers their own race. So that could be as an employee, that could be,
exactly.
in court.
So I guess
it depends in what context
he was saying it exactly, and what he really, what he had in his mind. Because when I hear that statement, to be honest, what I hear, I don't know what he meant. I'm not in his mind, but prefers in terms of people may feel comfortable in what they're used to, for instance. And it doesn't mean they're not open to or they dislike anyone else. It's just they're actually just kind of more, I don't know, just feel more comfortable. People are usually, but human beings are just kind of not very, don't really like change or anything different. Not necessarily because they have some kind of hatred or bigotry against something else, but
it's simply because it's just what they're comfortable with.
It may be actually whatever on their part, a shortcoming on their part, but they're just more comfortable.
Let's look at race in relationships now. Interracial relationships. Some say, especially in America, the statistics show that interracial relationships between the Latinos and the Caucasians has increased sporadically in America. Other people still look down on interracial relationships. How do you, let me look at that, Kelechi, how do you see this, and what are your thoughts on interracial relationships?
I mean, they're great. They're very great. I mean, just like interreligious relationships.
The differences in races and cultures?
For me, I don't see difference. And like I said, I look at the human being. I'm not seeing whether you're black and white. I don't really care. In my line of work, a lot of people love me in this country because of my positivity. So it's about my personality. You know, we see, I mean, you're in the Afrobeat scene, so you see a lot of white people dancing to Afrobeat songs as well. So that's why I do not like that statement, because are you telling me that she cannot dance to an R&B song?
Okay.
So a lot of people, the person is kind of gravitating towards the culture, towards the vibe and the energy of the people, of the community. That's what comes first before race.
We continue to see, particularly in the Asian community, we continue to see cases of honor killing, which comes due to race and religion. You know, so that is still a massive sticking point within sections of society, and people still think about it. Mo, I think you had an example earlier on that you were saying.
I mean, I have a friend that's married to, I think she's Hindu or Sikh or something like that. So, and she can't take him home. You know, I believe that had to do with conversation between both of them when they're behind closed doors, and making them understand that, okay, you know what, my father's like this, my mother's like this. So if you're gonna come, this is their way of life, and you need to try and respect that.
It's not about the way of life. What about the fact that her father would just not accept the fact that he is an African man dating a Hindu woman?
You see, these things are extreme, because people are, first of all, people. You understand? And yes, you may well be more comfortable with what you know, but we all know that as you grow up, as you evolve, you have to stretch your comfort level with everything. So people are, first of all, people. And the fact that one may be more comfortable with someone that is very like them doesn't mean they hate everybody else, and doesn't stop them from being open to having friends. I have friends from all over the world, and I don't see anything wrong with interracial marriages, and even in marriages between religions per se. But what I will say is that these things would have to be navigated. They would have to be.
The simple question would be, how would that be navigated then?
Discussion.
Yes,
exactly.
Making them learn your language, you learn theirs, you learn their culture, you learn their way of life. Respect, very key, respect. And you know, positive vibes, isn't it? It's not that deep, to be honest. Personally, it's not that deep, because I mean, I've experienced it a lot of times. And
you've been in interracial or interfaith relationships?
Well, my brother, we cannot go into pertinent details on that. You know, we don't know who's watching, but we have experienced some of it, and it's all about respect.
If I can pick you up on that, you said you can't go into details because you do not know who is watching. Would that be, you don't know who is watching, who will be shocked that you've been in an interracial relationship, or who's watching that would be shocked that you presently are in an interracial relationship? Which one is it?
My brother, we cannot go into that.
Mo, you wanted to say something. Mo, you wanted to say something. Because you have to think about it. Looking at it seriously now, these conversations are being had because of statements like the one Morrissey made, and other statements and events within the society. So race is a massive sticking point.
You know, for me, race, a human being is a human being. I even think there may be a little bit more to navigate when it comes to, say, religion.
Yes.
Not because of being prejudiced or whatever, or not liking any other religion or something, but simply because religion it kind of speaks to a core, as I said before, a core value and the essence of who somebody is. Yeah. And if you're very, very rigid in your beliefs, or very, how will I put it, convicted about your beliefs, it will be something that will require a lot of navigation. And I don't want to go into more detail here because it's very sensitive and so one isn't taken out of context.
It's actually been said, some of the statistics, particularly in the United States or America, says that 42% of marriages in the US are interfaith ones. So it looks like the general wave and consensus, particularly in the United States of America, is that faith isn't a barrier to relationships.
Exactly, but you also have to recognize that the environment is a bit more liberal as well. You know, so it's different from.
Some people might think it's a little bit more conservative.
I mean,
judging by
their countries, you can't have that same status in Pakistan or in Saudi Arabia. You understand? So again, it's about the environment, the liberality.
Will also come into
exactly.
play.
So the statement you issued earlier, I mean, a black kid can grow up here, but he prefers white friends. He has more white friends. That doesn't mean, you understand? So that discredits the statement. If an Arsenal fan, a Chelsea fan can like Drogba,
always has to bring it to football. When you get the Arsenal fan, Dr. Kelechi, on the table, he finds a way to navigate.
No, because we see these race things in the terraces. We see it in football as well.
Now, let me put a more general question to the panel here. Has anyone here, Kelechi, had a relationship that has failed because of race or religion? Have you experienced that? Do you know anybody within the family or friendship circle?
No, I have friends that are married to Muslims at the moment, and they are really more strong. So if I even had a kid last week. So, no, not at all. I'm marrying the person. We might decide not to go to church or the mosque and just chill on Sunday. You understand? It's not that deep. We might decide to go to Arsenal Stadium on Sunday.
But even that decision will be talked about. Because, because when I come to my area in marriage counseling, you do see the differences, if not talked about.
Yes.
And some kind of compromise or understanding as to the rules of engagement with regards to it, it does cause problems. It has the potential to cause problems if it's not treated in a particular way. And the fact that you even have to talk about it as we're doing now, the fact that you even have to consider it as a couple, does mean that it is something that comes into play. It just depends on how you then handle it.
Mo, I'd like to throw this to you. It looks like the younger generation, in terms of marrying across faith and marrying across religion, seems to be more frequent than we've seen in previous times. You know, the millennials definitely are comfortable with various races like we've never seen before. What exactly is the reason why this generation of young people feel more comfortable being open to various faiths and races?
I think a lot of young folks these days, they are social media. I'll blame it on social media. Social media allows us to conversate and really relate with each other. And it's not really about religion or yes, we learn about race because of whatever you're into, whether it's football, whether it's music. You know what I mean? You learn about the race and stuff like that, but we are able to communicate. And that's the key thing, communication. You know, we can't change mindsets if we can't communicate. And that's the main thing. And
I'd like to jump in here too, because because you see, as time has gone on, you find, yes, things change. For instance, my daughter is 22, my son is 23, and they have friends from a wide range. Because of them too, I have friends and parents of theirs from a wide range. So you become, it still boils down to this thing of being comfortable. So you come to the realization that people are really essentially people. They love the same way, they cry the same way, they experience the same things. But you can only do that when you're exposed to them. So I guess what I'm just kind of trying to say is, what are you comfortable with? What you're comfortable with, yes, but you can be more comfortable if you know more about other people. And that's what's happening in the world today. You know more about people and you realize people are really just people.
As simple, as straightforward. Well, it says, is race and religion important when choosing a partner? I think from my panel here, it's very, very safe to say communication is key, and that kind of makes everything comfortable, isn't it? Well, that's it from me, Shopsy, and my fantastic guests, Mo Easy, Amaka Chikambonu, and Dr. Kelechi Arsenal and Yekode. Thank you for joining me, and don't forget, every episode of NONI, past and present, is online at yangatv.com. So wherever you are in the world, you can see this show and other great content from Yanga. Join us again soon for more entertaining chat. Until then, goodbye.